On October 5, 1974, bombs were set in the two pubs in Guildford, England, exploding and killing 5 and injuring dozens of other Englishmen. The pubs were targeted because it was well known that they were popular with the British Army personnel that were stationed there. The IRA was to blame, but nobody knew who did it. The British wanted to find those responsible, and when they couldn't find them, they started pointing fingers at an Irish group of people that came to be known as the Guildford Four.
The Guildford Four consisted of 4 people: Jerry Conlon, Paul Hill, Patrick "Paddy" Armstrong, and Carol Richardson. Hill and Conlon were simple, petty criminals, bums essentially. Armstrong had recently arrived in England to escape the Troubles. His girlfriend, Richardson, was English and had been on drugs since age 11. They had commonly been described as a pitiable lot by those who knew them, but they were certainly not murderers. There was never any evidence to suggest that they were financed by the IRA.
With massive amounts of pressure from the public of England, the police began to grow desperate. Their desperation reached a point to where they thought it was necessary to pin the bombings on a scapegoat. They found one in the Guildford Four. Conlon, Hill, Armstrong, and Richardson were taken into custody and tortured into wrongful confession.
The Guildford Four were arrested in December of 1974 and convicted and sent to prison in October of 1975, where they remained for 15 years. There was no evidence to suggest that they were involved, let alone any to rightfully convict them. According to an article written by Jerry Conlon, the prison guards would urinate in our food, defecate in it, and put glass in it. Our cell doors would be left open for us to be beaten, and they would come in with batteries and socks to beat us over the head. I saw 2 people murdered. I saw suicides. I saw somebody set fire to himself in Long Lartin prison.
Along with the Guildford Four, a group known as the Maguire Seven were blamed for participating in the pub bombings. They were convicted of assisting the Guildford Four in controlling explosives that were found in the Guildford pub. This group consisted of many people close to Jerry Conlon, including his father, Giuseppe Conlon, Jerry's aunt and uncle, Annie and Paddy Maguire, their 2 sons, Vincent and Patrick, only 13, Annie's brother, Sean Smith, and a family friend, Patrick O'Neill.
Conlon and Armstrong appealed their case to the courts in 1977 on the grounds that new evidence had emerged since their imprisonment. O'Connell, Duggan, Butler, and Brendan Dowd told the courts exactly what had happened that night and that they were responsible for the Guildford bombings. The court concluded that just because the others had been involved, that did not preclude that the Guildford Four did not participate in the bombings. The Guildford Four and the Maguire Seven continued to rot in prison until their convictions were overturned in 1989. The convictions were declared unsafe and unsatisfactory by the courts.
Prime Minister of England Tony Blair eventually apologized to both the Guildford Four and the Maguire Seven, acknowledging the miscarriage of justice which was suffered due to the wrongful conviction.
After spending so long in prison, it's hard for the members of the Guildford Four to lead a normal life again. Jerry Conlon is now 50 and cannot work because of his horrible post-traumatic stress disorder. He still has nightmares about what happened while he was in prison. Along with Conlon, Patrick Maguire also suffers from similar things. He was only 13 when he was arrested, and he is now also unable to work because of mental health problems and suffers from traumatic breakdowns. Conlon and Paddy Armstrong continue to suffer from alcoholism as a self-medication to relieve the stresses of their imprisonment.
Most people think that something like this couldn't happen now or in the US, but those people would be wrong. In 1994, 3 high school boys that have come to be known as the West Memphis Three were sentenced to life in prison or death for allegedly killing children as part of a satanic ritual. These boys remained falsely imprisoned for 18 years and 78 days, having only been released in the last year. These men will never live a normal life and lost a majority of their youth for something they didn't do.